إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمال من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. With God's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, alhamdulillah, the praise is for Allah. All of the praise is due to Allah. We thank Him for guiding us and blessing us with life and honoring us to be here today for the Salatul Jumu'ah. It is not without Him that we exist. He is Rabbul Alameen, Lord of all worlds, all systems of knowledge, all creatures, all creation. Allah is the one who created you, and He is the one we worship. He has created everything, the fleas, the mountains, the bees, the ground, the earth, the stars, the universe. And He took the care and time to produce and create you individually, special. And He shows us that love, that mercy, by allowing for us to breathe life and take in new things every day. As each and every one of us, we learn more about ourselves. So today, this hour of Jumu'ah, it is about celebrating life by showing up and thanking Allah through alhamdulillah. The praise and the acknowledgement is for Allah and Allah alone. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We openly bear witness and we testify as Muslims that there is only one God. But in addition to that testimony, we say it's shahadatain, two testimonies. And that is an acknowledgement that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala given us guidance through a messenger. That is Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who we look at as the model person, the model human being, not in his gender form, but in his human form, as the son of Adam, as we all are the sons of Adam. And we look at him as Khatam al-Nabiyyin, a seal of prophethood. And we look at that to mean that we do not make a distinction between any of the prophets, but we honor them and we ask for Allah's peace and blessings to be upon all of the Rusul, all of the prophets. And in our beginning, in our opening, we ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He sends His prayers on Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and all those who follow him. And we ask him to send his prayers upon Ibrahim, our father Abraham, and all of those who follow him to the last day. This is a unifying message. It's not a divisive message. It is an acknowledgement that there's one God and one humanity. Dear brothers and sisters, today I want to give a short talk. You know, when I look at the audience, I see many who are with us today who are qualified to give the khutbah. My apologies for my tardiness. I had some car trouble. We have that every now and then. But what I want to share with you in a short message to keep with our time is about a statement that was made to me by a young woman. She said, I am a Muslim because I want to live a life of virtue. When she said this, I said, this is a statement that embodies the way, the walk, the reality of every striving human being who wants to put his service to God. For everyone who wants to call himself Muslim, to submit to this idea that I walk the path of virtue. So I'm always a parent first, right? Once you become a father, everything goes back to what you teach your children. And when I began to think about this message, I thought about how do I translate my Islam, firstborn generation? How do I translate my Islamic identity, my Islamic character? How do I teach that to a child, my children, who've never experienced what I experienced? Or what this woman has experienced, to say that now my life in Islam is to be a woman of virtue. So there's something that you experience to get to that point. And sometimes it's the opposite of virtue, which is vice. So I think about these things when they come to really demonstrate how do we educate in this day and time of great trouble and turmoil, great sin and vice. How do we live this life of Islam? How do we live this life of virtue? And when you think about what is a virtue, virtue in Al-Islam is about mercy. Virtue in Al-Islam is about righteousness, about generosity, about gratitude, purity, respect, wisdom. Virtue is about justice. Virtue is about dignity, repentance, patience. Virtue in Al-Islam is about discipline. Last time I was here and I gave the khutbah, we talked about discipline and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us our religion, our way of life, to instill a certain level of discipline upon us. But that's a virtue in Al-Islam. You see a Muslim man, you see a man of great discipline. And when you look in the mirror and you don't see a man of great discipline, then you say, I need to be a better Muslim. Right? But when I think about all of these characteristics that we strive to embody, we're not perfect. But Islam gives us the image in the model of Muhammad, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a great man of virtue, respected by his people before he was Muhammad Rasulullah, because he was trustworthy, because he was honest, because he was dignified, because he was handsome, beautiful in his behavior and his engagement and his physique and his realities in the world and how he worked the world. He was a man of virtue that people looked up to before he was Rasulullah. So after becoming Rasulullah, we get an even greater dynamic image of what it means to engage the world with virtue. But when I think about it in terms of how do we translate this into our own lives, how do we show up authentic with our children, we're striving for a great cause of virtue. Right? This is an immense objective, to be a virtuous man, to raise virtuous men, to take boys to men, to take our young ladies, our girls, from being innocent to being strong, virtuous women who know the direction in which they want to go and how they want to be respected and treated. Right? This is the raising of a Muslim. And you start wherever you are. It's better to start young. But you're raising yourself, no matter what age you are, you're raising yourself up as a Muslim. You're rising to the occasion. But I thought about what virtue is the highest of them all. Which one embodies or gives you the ability to really fulfill them all? And the virtue that I thought of is courage. You've got to have courage to be virtuous in this world today. Virtue is courage is the virtue that really allows for you to embody each and every one of them. Because you can't be merciful consistently without courage. You can't be generous consistently without courage. You can't be loving consistently without courage, because you'll be tried and tested in the world. And if you're not courageous enough to say, I am a Muslim in the face of sin, if I'm a Muslim in the face of vice, I'm a Muslim means I have courage to take on whatever the world may throw at me, whatever low desires that may be in me. I'm a Muslim. I have courage. And every Muslim, I would even venture to say that every strong, respected man or woman that we have come to know who lived and died, we say that was a courageous man. When we raise someone up as our leader, we say that was a courageous man. He was my leader. That was a courageous woman. This is why I respect that she is my leader. When we look at all the way through the history of time, you see that embodied in the life of Muhammad the Prophet ﷺ. The people followed him because he had courage. He was an odd man out, and they persecuted them. As a reminder in this khutbah, I want to first remind us of the sacred seerah, the life of Muhammad the Prophet ﷺ. We're given stories to preserve wisdom. The Quran is filled with stories. And the story that is preserved in the Quran is the day of Fathul Mecca. The day of opening Mecca after the long years of persecution. Decade of persecution, because these men and women said, we believe in one God, not many gods. And we believe in the dignity of every human being, not the hierarchy or the aristocrats of our society. We believe in the equality of all men. And because of these principles of sharing your wealth and respecting your neighbor, these things were something that were not valued as virtues of that hour. Not for the black man or the slave, not for the poor or the weak. And so Muhammad the Prophet ﷺ, he stood up with courage for these people. And they acknowledged that in him. And said, this is our leader. Not you all who run the show, not you all who run this town or this city or this society. No, the one who has the courage to stand up for truth, that's my leader, and I'll put my life on the line for him. So they put their lives on the line for him. And they were persecuted, they were exiled. We know the story, we know the seerah, but we have to remember that these were times of great difficulty. Islam didn't come to the weak bodies. It came to strong men and women who put their whole lives on the line and sacrificed much to say, truth is truth, no matter whose mouth it comes from. Truth is truth, no matter who it may hurt, or who may be switched from the side of right to wrong. Truth is truth. And they followed Muhammad the Prophet ﷺ all the way out into another village in the town where they were embraced. We know the seerah. But when the time came after great loss, fathers killing their sons and sons having to fight their fathers, right? Great loss in the community, that you had to defend now your wealth with your full body after you began with words and acknowledgement of truth and speaking the word to the right. It didn't start off with fighting. You don't go straight to the fist. You begin with the dialogue and engagement of the mind. And when you get challenged that way, the weakest of them will resort to fighting after that. We got to go out here and get Muhammad. He's messing the show up. We can't win the talking battle. We can't win the logic, because our worship of all of these gods don't make sense. But after loss, persecution, and the entry into Mecca, there's a moment when the people who knew they were wrong and they did wrong by all of the Muslims said, it's over for us. There's death for us. There's loss of our wealth for us. We took all their wealth, they're about to take all ours. But no one expected what the Prophet did after that. Not even the believers. They knew about retribution. They knew about consequences for actions. They knew about making sure that, hey, this was done unto me, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. They knew that these were principles established, but the Prophet ﷺ, with courage, had a vision for what was next. The unity of these people, the reuniting of family. And he displayed mercy, but that mercy could not come without courage because everyone expected something different. So you can be merciful when it's convenient. And you can be revengeful when it's convenient. You can be someone who wants to just just put your wrath on someone because you know they deserve it. But if you don't believe in the constant courtesy of being courageous to see what is just and fair no matter what the circumstances are, we're not following the way of Rasulullah, the messenger of God. And in the most clear moment in a history and a time after so much turmoil and so much torture and pain, everyone expected for there to be some level of retribution. But the Prophet showed mercy. But my story here in sharing this is that you can always have a sense of mercy for people without a sense of fairness and justice, and that's wrong. And the Prophet ﷺ showed that he was courageous enough to see all of the virtues and what the next steps were. It's almost like being able to breathe in the middle of a fight, to hold your breath, capture your breath, see what's next. You know, and take it there. I mean, you know, there's something about a physical battle, getting in the ring, that will test if you are courageous or not, or if you're a coward. When you step into the ring, this is I'm thinking about Muhammad Ali, right? And this man didn't want to say his name. You want to call him Cassius. One of the greatest heroes in Al-Islam and one of the greatest courageous men of all times. He put a whooping on him so bad he said his name. You are Muhammad Ali. But when you're in the ring, my two children, my son and my daughter, they've taken my advice to take boxing as a way of training their physical being. They're in training. As Muslims, you should be able to control your mind, your body, and your soul, your spirit. And it takes training and training from the best of them to get that. And we have in this community Coach Musa Muhammad, who's their coach. But the principles of courage that he teaches is step up, get in, and let your hands go. Because when you're able to do that, then you're showing that you're going to meet your battle wherever they are. You're going to show them what you got. He may be a better fighter, but you're going to show him what you have. And even if you lose the fight, people know, your opponent knows he has courage. That young sister has courage. And there was one young boy, he got in the ring, he thought he had courage, and they matched him up with my daughter. Uh-oh. And you know, when you train and you're not trained, it's going to be a hands down defeat, no matter if you're a man or a woman. And when you're pre-pubescent, when you're before that time period, it's fair game. So young men just know if you think you ready, when you're 11 and 12 and you haven't been trained, it's fair game between men and women. She's made her decision not to continue pursuing it, but Allah knows best about the character that's instilled when you learn how to really physically be ready. Have your body respond to you with courage, right? So there's times in our life where we have to be intentional about who we will be in the face of an opponent. We got to be clear about, am I a Muslim? Or was I just a Muslim yesterday? Or I'm going to postpone this thing and be a Muslim tomorrow. And wallahi, everyone will have their tests. The Quran says it's not enough to say you believe and not be tried and tested. Everyone will have their test. You have a test of, are you courageous enough to live up to the virtues that you think are the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created you? And you'll be tested to say, am I who I say I am? That's a powerful thing to be reminded about. Am I who I say I am? Am I a virtuous man? Am I a virtuous woman? Or am I faking? Or am I one who's filled with vice? Am I one who's completely giving up the commands of Allah? Am I breaching the hudud of Allah? Am I breaching all of what I know to be what will make me better? Virtues are moral principles that allow for the human being to meet his height, his best self. So we strive and we struggle to meet those virtues. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to increase us in our knowledge of this religion. We ask Him to give us strength in our faith and make us of those who believe. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. دعاء. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا كما أمر وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت وباركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. أما بعد. We ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send His prayers and blessings upon Muhammad and send His prayers and blessings upon those who follow him and his family, as He has sent prayers and blessings upon Prophet Ibrahim, those who follow him and his family. For Allah is the one who receives all praise, the majestic, the mighty. Ameen. It's beautiful to see you all today. It's a great occasion when the Muslims get together. You know, we have a unique circumstance that we're in. Because not only are we a minority, a small group, there is a new focus on us as though we're a big group. For the believer, this is an exciting time and it's a wonderful time to be Muslim. But for those who are challenged with people of strength, they have something in the wake for them that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make clear very shortly. And what I'm speaking about is the commitment that a human being has to truth, no matter whose side it's on. The commitment that a human being has to justice, no matter whose side it's on. Fairness, decency, love for family, in moments where everything is pointing in the opposite direction, in times of great dark periods, darkness, the stars that shine will be bright. And the beauty of those stars, and I'm looking at us, and the beauty of those stars will become a light for the world. This is a promise. And so when we're promised these things, we stay steadfast. We stay committed to the life that we've chosen as Muslims. It is only a competition for all that is good, all that is right, all that is decent, all that is beautiful. We're trying to build a beautiful life together. And when that's happening, it becomes a cluster of stars in the most magnificent, beautiful view. But we have to stay together. The brotherhood, the sisterhood, the bond requires us to stay together. And so the Salatul Jumu'ah is a call for the believers to be together, to remember who you are, to remember where you are, to seek forgiveness. For Allah is the all-forgiving, the most merciful. And to celebrate the beauty of what the life is of Al-Islam. Know what it means to be a Muslim. Know what it means to practice this religion of Al-Islam. And know the connection of 1 billion strong throughout the world that Allah has put us in connection with. It is the human spirit that we are fighting for. Humanity. It's inside the bodies. It is not the color or the wealth. It is inside of the body. The shaping of the soul. Refining of the human being. The human reality. These are the principles of the religion that we take in and utilize to build ourselves and make us better. It has a direct result in how our wealth becomes greater and richer. Has a direct result in how our health and our physical beings is expressed and looks better. Has a direct result in how our character and how people see us and feel about us make us feel better. I remember this beautiful poem or saying by Sister Maya Angelou. She said, you will forget what they say to you. You will forget what they do to you, but you will never forget how they made you feel. No? And this is a person who's coming from great trauma in the African American story of great trauma and great difficulty and abuse. If you know her story, you know that her story is just a small microcosm of the many stories in our families. But when you overcome it, with your own voice and the power and the courage to overcome the trauma and the trial that God puts you in, then your voice becomes a beacon of light for the whole world. So we're in this sacred time of when truth stands clear from error. قد جاء الحق وزهق الباطل. A truth that will knock the lights out of falsehood. That's the time we're living in. So live that truth. Be that truth. Let's honor our family. Let's honor our brotherhood. Let's honor our sisterhood. Let's be together as a community and know that Allah has blessed us to have faith in Him. To be a believer means to trust. To trust in what? To trust in God. And to trust in Allah means that you trust in His ability that He's placed in you to be courageous, to be righteous, and to be a liberator of yourself and others. May Allah give us that victory. May Allah make us of those who have faith. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. Oh Allah, we ask for the good of this life and the good of the hereafter, and save us from the torment of the fire. Oh Allah, in this hour we ask for your forgiveness. We ask for your mercy. We ask that you give us increase in wealth, increase in knowledge, increase in prosperity. Bless our families. Protect our souls. Protect our souls from evil whispers of shaitan. Oh Allah, we ask that you never allow for our hearts to deviate after you have guided us aright. Forgive us, have mercy upon us, and make us of those who have faith. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun, wa salamun ala al-mursaleen, walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Aqim as-salat.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Allahu Akbar. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما وداك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنحر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله الفاتحة بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. الحمد لله. تقبل الله من الله في الصلاة. Can I make one announcement? Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Just want to make one announcement. As you all know, in the work that I do with Imam Inner City Muslim Action Network, every other week we host a roundtable discussion on returning citizens formerly incarcerated, investing in lives beyond incarceration at 1007 Cascade Road. It's an invitation for the community to be a part of that roundtable discussion. It's tied into the reentry work that we do. It's from 11 a.m. Starts at 11 a.m. on this Sunday. You're welcome to come out and be a part of that. It's at 1007 Cascade Road, not too far from here. Bismillah.